Alrighty, let's talk about Alex Jones. There's two categories of talking about Alex Jones. There's either talking about Alex Jones and the most recent dumb shit thing he did over at InfoWars, or there's talking about Alex Jones in regards to something that has happened to him. So, we're going to be talking about the second one. Before we get into that, though, let's go ahead and get into the fan art section. And this is actually an older fan art that was submitted and never actually got featured on the channel, because when fan art that breaks that line of being able to go in our Discord, because it is a safe for work Discord, this fan art kind of breaks that line a little bit, so it wasn't able to go into the Discord, and I completely forgot to actually showcase it. This one is from Trash, the person who did the previous Suris animation, and it's what reminded me that I hadn't actually featured this one yet. So, yeah, there we are. And now if Call for an Uprising is watching, he's probably got a stiffy. Anyways, as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be featured, for the most part, put it into the Discord server, and it will be able to be shown as soon as I can get to it. But then again, as exampled by this, sometimes there are fan arts that may be a little too saucy to go in there. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about our old Alexy Jonesy boy. So, as from Huffington Post, Alex Jones has lost 2 Sandy Hooks cases. Now, Alex Jones has had a very interesting time with cases against him lately. Orla Sarah, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an you degenerate. Also, Orla, just fun fact, the fan art that you commissioned of me holding a body pillow was actually one of the fan arts that was used as reference material for the first live 2D VTuber avatar. I just remembered that, and I don't know why I'm saying that now. Anyways, continuing on. Yeah, Alex Jones has had an interesting time with his Sandy Hooks cases. For those who don't know, he did a whole thing where he said that Sandy Hooks was a false flag incident, and it didn't really happen, and nobody really died, which is a very easy way to get a... It's a very easy way to convince people that no, gun control doesn't need to happen in any way, shape, or form. I myself am still an advocate for gun ownership, but responsibly. This is not responsible. So, Alex Jones had said that Sandy Hook was, you know, not a real thing that happened, and when confronted about it in a court case, because he got people to harass parents of the children who died into trying to show the death certificates. And that got his ass in court. So, what happens when you've been in court for fuck ever? He had to tell everyone back then, this was a few years ago, that he's just an actor. What he does on his show isn't real, it's just an act, because he thought that that would be the legal defense he could use. I refuse to believe that Alex Jones is truly acting there, because I think in most cases, when somebody is shrieking the way that he does on his show, you can Occam's razor it and just go, nope, dude's nuts, he believes what he believes. Because he's been doing it for years. Exclamation points, thank you very much for the follow. So, let's go ahead and take a look at what has happened to him recently. We have a lovely video here from Huffington Post. We're going to go ahead and unmute.
Okay, Mr. Jones.
Okay.
You would agree with me that when some damage happens, when you break something, when you cause something to be lost, when you hurt somebody.
Look at that. Okay, I just want to note the body language happening here. Right now, it feels like he just wants to be done. He just wants to get out. This man wants anything besides being here.
Whether it's intentional or whether it's a mistake, there's consequences for that, right? People should be accountable for the people they hurt.
Objection is to form.
Well, sometimes people claim they've been hurt and they haven't been. So you have to look at the agenda behind things.
Okay, so, Alex, I got a question. If I kick somebody in the nuts, am I the best judge over whether or not they've been hurt? No. Also, it's not just that his fans went and harassed a bunch of people. It's that he literally was propagating misinformation about Sandy Hook for years. Like, his words have had actionable consequences. Anybody who thinks that words are harmless is a fucking idiot. And I'm so tired of dealing with people that think that words are harmless. If words are harmless, then there is no point in being a military commander because your words carry no weight. And the soldiers will do whatever the fuck they choose. It's his right to mislead and misinform. Oh, yeah, no, it's his right up to a certain point, but once his words have consequences, once his words have literally caused, like... Once his words have started being calls, have caused stochastic terrorism to happen, like, at this point, no. We've had a fuck enough. Continue.
And I myself have, almost had like a form of psychosis back in the past where I basically thought everything was staged, even though I've now learned a lot of times things aren't staged.
Okay, so if memory serves, his legal defense prior to this was that he was an actor and nobody should take him seriously. But now his defense is, oh no, I had a form of psychosis. That's his defense now? That he had a form of psychosis?
So, I think as a pundit and someone giving opinion, that, my opinions have been wrong, but they were never wrong consciously to hurt people.
Really? Really? The dude who yells about, like, freaking... The dude who screams on his show constantly about America needing to take up arms did not think that somebody could potentially get hurt by that rhetoric? Really? No. I'm sorry. This is like... Okay, I don't know if you guys remember, but ages ago, I was doing a stream about... I was playing Banjo-Kazooie. Not the most recent time. It was back on the YouTube channel. And I was talking to a viewer. I brought them on to talk to them about cruelty. And whether they thought that bullying somebody who was obese was an effective way of getting them to change their diet, of getting them to change their way of life. And he said, yes, it would be. And I pointed out that studies have actually shown that when you bully people who do need to change their lives to be healthier, you don't actually help them. They end up falling into those habits harder, and in some cases, even committing suicide. That's what literal data suggests, and he said, I don't believe that. Despite the fact that, again, we literally have the hard data that says that that's the case. Idiots like this will deny data because they would rather feel right than admit being wrong. Now, during this conversation, I asked a follow-up question. If somebody shot a gun into a trailer park, would that incentivize people in the trailer park to leave, potentially, to go better their lives, to do whatever they could, work however many jobs they needed to, so that they would be able to find better accommodations that would not be as violent, despite the fact that the gunshot that was thrown in there was thrown maliciously. And he said, yeah, that makes sense. And I said, cool, would you fire the gun? And I don't remember if this is in my Rolling the Dice on Cruelty video that I made ages ago, or if it's just in the VOD from the Banjo-Kazooie stream. But eventually I ended up getting him to agree that, yes, he would fire the gun himself, though it was with the caveat that he would fire it only if he would get caught. He wouldn't get caught. And I said, do you accept, though, that much like with the chance for suicide with people who are obese, there's a chance that that bullet will hit a person instead of just flying into the wind? After accepting that chance and accepting that the premise was the same as the obesity one, he basically kept his stance and then popped in my DMs for a while and kept on suggesting right-wing lunatic YouTubers to me. But the point is, with Alex Jones, when you are saying the words that you're saying, you can't just go, well, it wasn't meant to consciously hurt people. Like, no, if you admit that there's a chance that the things you are saying can hurt people, then there is a level of mature responsibility you should be taking there, even if it is just an apology. Also, Tanya Maga, you could totally stop linking band.video/watch, whatever the fuck that is, in my chat. I don't care what that is. It said if you won't be fair, you need to know the real story. Look, I'm pretty sure that band.video is not going to be getting me a real story anytime soon. Sorry. You can stick around and chat if you want. I'm perfectly fine making fun of you.
You said false things about Sandy Hook because of the psychosis.
I'm going to say,
Correct?
well, I'm just saying that the trauma of the media and the corporations lying so much, then everything begins, you don't trust anything anymore.
Right. You do not trust mainstream media. That's fine. I do not trust mainstream media either. This is why I tend to, like, you guys have probably noticed the habit. Anytime that I look up something from a news source, for the most part, I'm going to go and actually check the news source itself. I'm going to do a media bias check on it. Now, we can actually do that real quick as well with Huffington Post. So let's go ahead and see here. HuffPost, media bias fact check. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Ba, 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 ba. So we have a mixed rating here and a left bias. This is something that needs to be taken into consideration while we are looking through the article, while we are looking at the information being presented to us. Now that we know that, we can continue on with the article. But it is important to know what your news sources are looking like when you are looking at practically anything. Let's continue.
Kind of like a child whose parents lie to them over and over again. Well, pretty soon they don't know what reality is.
So here's the thing, Alex Jones. It's not just that you didn't know what reality is. You purported to know what reality is. You purported to know for a fact that Sandy Hook was a false flag incident perpetrated by Democrats so that they could seize people's guns. That is very different than just saying, well, I didn't know. You didn't say on your shows, I don't know if Sandy Hook was real. You literally said repeatedly that it wasn't. Also, if you do a media bias fact check on Alex Jones, which Alpacent just did, holy shit! Tinfoil hat level conspiracy theory. Pseudoscience level strong. Factual reporting very low. Huffington Post had a mixed rating, but that manages to clear the bar for Alex Jones level content. Amazingly. Let's continue.
So long before these lawsuits, I said that in the past I thought everything was a conspiracy, and I would kind of get into that mass groupthink.
Tanya Maga, I'm perfectly fine making Alex Jones look bad. I literally followed this man when I was fucking 16 years old and was a giant hyper fan of his for years. For almost 8 years after that fact. I was a huge fan of everything this man did and produced. I am well aware of the Alex Jones side of this conversation. Fact check for Tanya's source. Oh boy! Oh boy, we have a fact check for Tanya's source? Band.video. Tinfoil hat level conspiracy. Quackery level of pseudoscience. Very low rate of factual reporting. Tanya, I understand you've got 2 brain cells that are working increasingly hard to power both your motor functions and also your cognizance. But I think you and I would agree, if you just went outside, touched some grass, it would, at the very least, allow one of your brain cells to take a break. Okay, let us continue.
of the communities that were out there saying that. So now I see that it's more in the middle. And so that's where I stand.
Mr. Jones, are you finally prepared to admit that you have indeed caused these families a substantial amount of pain? Are you prepared to admit that?
I am not prepared to sign on to whatever you and the mainstream media make up about me.
That's not what was asked. You use Nazi media to confirm bad video or bad rating. Your Nazi media, okay. Sure thing. Media Bias Fact Check has been criticized for leaning a little too far in one direction or another when it comes to certain websites. But Nazi? Yeah, no, I haven't actually seen eugenics purported. I haven't seen white supremacy purported from them or anything like that. So, that's okay. Again, outside playgroup, there is probably something you can do out there that is infinitely more productive than being in my chat. That's okay, though. That's okay. We're here to help. We're here to help. I understand that you have a perspective. I have a conflicting perspective. But at the end of the day, maybe you should consider all sides of a perspective. I have been an Alex Jones fan for a good chunk of my life. I've already considered that perspective. I've already been there. Now I am on this side, because I've already been where you are. Nyoko Sato, thank you very much for the follow.
All right, Mr. Jones, that'll have to be it. I'll see you next time.
Okay, so Alex Jones here said, when asked directly, are you prepared to admit that you caused the families of Sandy Hook pain? Which is an irrefutable thing. He then goes, I am not prepared. I am not prepared to sign whatever you and the mainstream media are about to make up about me. That's not what was asked, Alex. That's not what was asked. All that was asked was that you admit that you caused people pain. Now, granted, that's cut up from a much longer interview, but let's go ahead and read the article itself. Kanema says, I might be out of loop, but who's Alex Jones again? I'll tell you, we'll just make it very, very easy, very simple. They're putting chemicals in the water, turning the freaking frogs gay! That guy. That guy. That's the guy. Yeah, that guy. Yep. It is amazing how quickly you can figure out who he is from that one. Now, let's continue. InfoWars host Alex Jones has lost 2 of several lawsuits filed against him by relatives of Sandy Hook victims after he routinely failed to comply with requests to produce documents related to his involvements in spreading lies about the deadly shooting. Judge Maya Gura Gamble on Monday issued her ruling for default judgments against Jones on 2 different cases, which means he and the conspiracy theory spewing outlet InfoWars have been found liable for all damages, and a jury will now be convened to determine how much he will owe the plaintiffs. The new ruling became public Thursday. In the filings, Gamble eviscerated Jones and reasoned that default judgments should be ordered because an escalating series of judicial admonishments, monetary penalties, and non-dispositive sanctions have all been ineffective at deterring the abuse caused by Jones' unwillingness to turn over documents related to the cases. The ruling, which is often referred to as a death penalty sanction for a party unwilling to comply with court orders, is a rarity in the legal world. Jones, who is now on his 7th lawyer in these cases, has had years to provide documentation requested by the courts, including internal company emails. Huffington Post was the first to report the start of Jones's Sandy Hook legal case in 2018 when parents Leonard Ponsner and Veronica De La Rosa filed a defamation lawsuit related to Jones' continued lies that the 2012 school shootings that left 20 children and 6 adults dead was a false flag hoax with crisis actors. Posner and De La Rosa's 6-year-old son Noah was killed in the shooting. In the years since, the parents have dealt with continued harassment from those who followed Jones' lead and claimed the shooting was faked. So, Tanya, here's the thing. This is what I mean by when his words become actionable. his words directly, irrevocably, led to a series of conspiracy theorists who were constantly harassing these people. Yes, libel, slander, and defamation are legal precedents we can use, and it is the reason why people like me, on the internet, have to be very careful when we are criticizing real-life people. If I make a claim today that a random-ass YouTuber is a pedophile, that random-ass YouTuber, if they are not, can sue me. So if you're still here, Tanya, maybe consider that that is how our legal system works. And it would be a very good idea to keep that in mind. Continuing on, they're not the only ones. In total, 9 families who've lost loved ones in the Sandy Hook shooting have leveled lawsuits against Jones and InfoWars for the damage he and his outlet have caused. Since then, Jones has lost multiple legal battles in his many lawsuits and was ordered to pay nearly $150,000 in legal fees in 2020 for failing to provide discovery documents for the plaintiff. It was Jones' continued refusal to hand over discovery documents that led to Monday's rulings against him in a lawsuit brought on by Posner and a separate lawsuit by parent Scarlett Lewis, whose 6-year-old son Jesse was also killed in the shooting. Posner, De La Rosa, and Lewis are being represented by Texas law firm Farrer and Ball, who told Huffington Post that they are not surprised by the court's decision. Jones' most recent lawyer, Brad Reeves, told the Austin American-Statesman earlier this month that a default judgment against Jones would be hugely excessive, and it would be a hugely excessive response to his discovery failurings. Judge Gamble felt otherwise. Said furthermore, in considering whether lesser remedies would be effective, the court has also considered the defendant's general bad faith approach to litigation, Mr. Jones's public threats, and Mr. Jones's professed belief that these proceedings are show trials. Public threats? That one's interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's see. Alex Jones' lawyer seeks to make Sandy Hook parents' homes addresses public. Tanya, I have a question. If I were to look at you as an individual, and I were to reveal your address to, let's go ahead and call them what they really are in this chat, 97 people who are insane leftists. Ooh, scary. But let's go ahead and assume that I did that. Would that not be an attack on you? Yes. Yes, it would. Because I would be showing your address for a purpose. Anybody who does that, anybody who doxes someone, does not dox them for no reason. The purpose is for the person to be attacked in some way, shape, or form. Pipe bombs are a thing. Arsenic mails were a thing. People coming to your house and pacing around it and threatening you was a thing. I have a friend who was recently doxed. If you guys did not know, there's an entire story on my channel, and you can find an even more in-depth version on Telltale's channel, where he talked about what happened when he got doxxed by all of the people who were Christian right-wing extremists, where his daughter went to school. Tony then says in the chat, do you watch Project Veritas video that confirms Alex fires jabs or Okay, Tanya, no. You're gonna go. You're going outside. You are going outside. Goodbye. You've been banned from the chat. You had every ability to go outside and feel the wonderful texture that is Mother Nature under your toes and fingertips. But instead you decided to come in and talk about Project Veritas saying that freaking vaccines are a depopulation program, which is likely going to be based on that one taken out of context Bill Gates quote that everybody uses. Project Veritas does not confirm shit. In fact, actually, hey, Let's do that one right now. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Project Veritas. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Oh boy. Right-wing extremism? Wow. Can you imagine that? They're a questionable source. Why? Let's see here. Overall, we rate them to have questionable based on their promotion of misleading videos and several failed fact checks. They have a very low credibility rating. Founded in 2010, Project Veritas was created by James Edward O'Keefe III, an American conservative political activist. He produces secretly recorded undercover audio and video encounters, some selectively edited to imply its subjects say things they did not, with figures and workers in academic, governmental, and social service organizations, purporting to show abusive or allegedly illegal behavior by employees and or representatives of those organizations. Project Veritas primarily targets liberal and liberal organizations. Oh boy. It is amazing. Aren't Veritas the ones who are also pushing the BS claim that trans women are assaulting cis women in bathrooms? Dunno. I will not, unlike Tanya, I will not say with certainty that which I do not know with certainty. Continuing on here. Lawyer Bill Ogden with Farr and Ball told Huffington Post that Gamble's default judgment is a bit of a myth in the legal world. So we learned about death penalty sanctions in law school as more of a theory, and it's almost unheard of to have them handed down in cases like this, Ogden said in an emailed statement. However, the Sandy Hook cases are unique. It's extremely rare that a party, Alex Jones and InfoWars, is ordered by the court to comply with discovery, is sanctioned for failing to obey the court's multiple orders, and then continues to blatantly disregard the court's authority by continuously refusing to comply. While Jones has now claimed he no longer believes the Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax, the damage had already been done. In 2017, Florida woman Lucy Richard was sentenced to 5 months in prison after sending threats to Posner. Richards told Posner, "You're gonna die," in one recorded voicemail message. "Death is coming to you real soon." Imagine that for a moment. You, as an individual, have just lost your child. You have lost your child to a school shooting, and then you start receiving threatening emails, voice messages, etc., telling you that you're going to be next, effectively. What does that do for you? What does that do for you? Alpacent, I can go a little southern. Turns out that I did grow up in Florida, which, as most southerners will tell you, is not actually southern. We got too many tourists down there, but I still can do it. I just hate that side of my voice, so we don't use it. Anyways, continuing on. As part of her sentence, Richard was ordered to not access InfoWars. Jones' cataclysmic court losses are unsurprising to those who have followed his cases. In a 2019 deposition, Jones was unable to recall basic facts about the school shooting, including the date in which it happened. He says, "I talk 4 hours a day. I can't remember what I talked about sometimes a week ago." Reached by phone Thursday, Jones' lawyer Reeves told Huffington Post he had no comment regarding the decision. Says that he hasn't really analyzed the ruling, so he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. Oh darn. Boy, sucks to be you, Alex. Really does. You had every ability to not fuck up this cataclysmically, and yet, here you are. Also, Muffin the Bunny, thank you very much for the follow. If your memory is so bad, maybe you shouldn't be running a news show. Well, yeah, I can agree with that. But here's the thing, my memory is terrible too. I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast. What did I eat for breakfast? Fuck. Shit. There's a Quick Trip. Ah, right. Bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. That's what it was. Okay, that took a little while. The point is, I think it's less that he shouldn't be running a news show, and it's more that he shouldn't be running the kind of news show that he does, where he says with certainty that false flags have happened in these particular scenarios. Just, no. I have no sympathy for Alex here. I just don't. I just don't. Now, there's something I want to see here. What is a default? Let's see here. Default judgments happen when you don't respond to a lawsuit offered from a debt collector, and a judge resolves the case without hearing your side. In effect, you're found guilty because you never entered a defense. Default judgments are sometimes called automatic judgments because of how fast they can happen. Oh, so that's what's happening.
I'm Eugenie from French Vogue.
No, I don't want that. Autoplay is a cancer, but it doesn't grow on me. So no. Like, you literally, if you get a default judgment here, you're screwed. Now, what I'm curious here, why is it called a death penalty sanction? I don't understand that. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. The role of discovery in civil litigation has become increasingly more prevalent, particularly with the advent of electronic discovery. These changes have not only created an increased amount of discovery disputes, but have also opened the door for significant discovery sanctions, including what is known as a civil death penalty. A death penalty sanction arises when a court strikes a party's pleadings for discovery abuses, in effect eliminating any type of defense that a party or a particular party would have as they relate to the merits of the underlying claims of the case. These sanctions have the effect of adjudicating a dispute, and to put simply, it means the case is closed. Okay, so it doesn't actually mean that he's getting a death penalty, because that's one that I would disagree with. I do not want him killed. No, I don't want anybody killed. I would rather people have the opportunity to change. And even then, I don't think anybody has the right to take a life away from another human being outside of physical defense or moments where, like, your autonomy is in question. So, yeah. Yeah, metaphorical death penalty. Well, Alex, you got oopsed. Look at you. Sucks. I no sympathy. Not even a little bit. I just can't have any. So, now I gotta throw it back to you guys, the audience. All except Tanya. They got noped. Anybody else who wants to have a conversation about what just happened, the chat box is there, and also if you are watching this over on YouTube, the comment section is there for your use. Hopefully, there can be a very prosperous conversation happening there, and not just a whole bunch of vitriol. Vitriol's for me. That's me. Anyways, with all that said, if you want to support my channel and what I do, the best way to do so is to hop into the links in the description. There's places that you can check, like my merch store and also Patreon. I mean, hell, there's this on the merch store. If you want a throw pillow that you can put on there that has my dumb mung on it, then yeah, that's a thing you can get. It's a thing that I will probably be getting because I have problems. I already have some of my merch as a playmat. Please, no. This is the same problem with me purchasing multiple models. I have issues. YouTube has ruined me. Anyways, as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. If you want access to behind-the-scenes content for the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon. I do weekly vlogs over there, where I give real-life updates to what's going on behind the scenes on the channel, stuff that you don't really get over here, and even on Twitch. Patreon also helps the channel's stability a whole lot. Without Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. Especially with the kind of content that I do, neither YouTube nor Twitch are the most stable sources of income. If you are a $20 and up patron, then you will be featured on the ending slides as shown in the beginning of the end credits. If you want to catch the streams where all this content comes from, then consider heading over to Twitch and following. And if you want to continue watching over here on YouTube, maybe consider clicking one of the end screen videos. And once again, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me over on my channel. I wouldn't be able to do literally anything that I'm doing over here on YouTube without each and every one of you. So, thank you.